continue in chapter 4. That's what we're doing. All right. Dreams and mental activity during sleep. You might think dreams are the only thing that you do while you sleep, but that is false. There's this other thing called sleep mentation. So although dreams may be the most interesting brain productions during sleep, they are not the most common. Sleep thinking. Sleep thinking. Vague, bland, thought-like reflections about real-life events that typically occur during non-REM sleep, also called sleep mentation. This is pretty interesting. I've definitely experienced this. You probably have too, where you can't stop thinking about whatever is going to happen tomorrow while you're trying to go to sleep or while you are sleeping. So sleep thinking probably contributes to those times when you wake up with a solution to some vexing problem. But at other times, it's the thoughts that just interfere with your sleep. So, for example, on the night before an important exam, anxious students will sometimes toss and turn their way through the night as they mentally review and rehearse concepts during non-REM sleep thinking. So, it makes sense because you're in non-REM more than you're in REM during the night. And if sleep thinking happens during non-REM, yeah, you probably sleep think a little bit more than you dream. Let's talk about dreams. By adulthood, about 25% of a night's sleep, or almost 2 hours every night, is spent dreaming. So 2 hours every single night, you dream. You create your own universe inside your head. Total time dreaming during the average life, 50,000 hours, or 6 years. You spend 6 years of your 80 to 90-year-old life in a world that you've created. Dream. So what is our definition of it? For our course, our AP Psych course, it is an unfolding sequence of thoughts, perceptions, and emotions that typically occurs during REM sleep and is experienced as a series of real-life events. And that can be weird for you because I know that you think that dreams are so awkward, they're so odd, right? They're weird, they don't make any sense, they're illogical. But they're more logical than you think they are. So granted, the storyline and details of those dream events may be illogical, even bizarre, but in the unique mental landscape of our own internally generated reality, the bizarre and the illogical are readily accepted as disbelief is suspended. The suspension of disbelief is an interesting thing, right? I'm not that great at it. When I watch scary movies, right, horror movies, I can't suspend my disbelief. I can't. When I watch those things, I watch it and I'm like, man, what a weird scene for these actors and actresses to act out. Occasionally, yeah, can I suspend it? For sure. In a dream, you suspend it regularly. I mean, you could be chased by, a giant marshmallow, right? And you'd be like, why is this thing chasing me? What did I do to it? Why? Instead of like, what in the world is going on here? That's not real. Marshmallows can't chase me, right? You accept it. It's a part of the dream. So they can occur in non-REM sleep, but not often, and if they do, they're not that vivid. When awakened during REM sleep, 95% of people report having a dream. So that means that everybody dreams. I mean, 95% of people report having a dream when woken up during REM. I claim I don't dream because when I wake up, I don't remember it. That doesn't mean I didn't dream. That means I don't remember my dream. So 4 to 5 dreams a night, with the early morning dreams being the most memorable, and your brain looks like it is awake when you're dreaming. We know that. We learned that last time that we were together in the video lecture. Dreams, and we'll look at this here in a second, but dreams are, and they start off actually really closely paralleling everyday life, reality. So your first dream of the night, boom, not that different than this normal reality that we're in. As they progress through the night, they get more illogical, more, not so in touch with reality, where things can happen and you can be like, what in the world was that? Maybe you were riding Godzilla through the ocean or something like that. at the end of your dream, your last dream, right? Which could be 40 minutes long. So you tend to remember them as being illogical because you tend to remember your last dream, not, you don't remember your first dreams, okay? So that's something to think about, that, dreams actually do represent everyday life, but as the night progresses and as the sleep cycles continue on, they get more and more illogical, and those are the ones that you tend to remember. Sleep and memory formation. So sleep plays a critical role in strengthening new memories and integrating new memories with existing memories. Yeah, it's huge in memory formation and then assigning those memories to certain areas. Non-REM sleep is important in forming new episodic memories, so things that have actually happened to you in your life. That's non-REM sleep. Memory consolidation will happen to that. So an event, right? Maybe you go to a wedding or something like that. Memory consolidation for that would happen in non-REM. REM sleep is important in forming new procedural memories, which is also called implicit memories. But that's like a skill, right? So you get to consolidate the memories of a new skill formation during REM because you get to practice it, right? You create the world inside of your own mind, right? And then, imagine this. Imagine you're a toddler and you just learn how to ride a bike. My guess is you'll be practicing that during your dream. And then the next day you might get better at it because guess what? You dreamt about it. You practiced that skill in your dream. So, memories involving learning new skills and tasks. Memories formed during the day are reactivated during the 90-minute sleep cycles. You have something happen to you during the day, you're probably going to dream about it that night. Or if there's something vexing you about the future, you might be dreaming about that too. It's really about what happened during the day, and your memories and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be tied in heavily into what you're dreaming about. All right, dream themes and imagery. So William Domhoff explains this. A wide range of studies in both laboratory and non-laboratory settings show that dreams are far more coherent, patterned, and thoughtful than is suggested by the usual image of them. We think they're weird. Rather than bizarre, dreams are, by and large, a realistic simulation of waking life. At the same time, there are aspects of the dream content that are unusual and perhaps nonsensical. Nevertheless, controlled laboratory studies reveal that dreams are overwhelmingly about everyday settings, people, activities, and events, with only a relatively small amount of bizarreness. But we tend to remember the bizarreness, okay? Women report males and females in equal proportion as other dream story characters. Men are more likely to report other males as dream story characters. Negative feelings and events are more common than positive ones. That's just how our brains are made up, right? We have to actually remember the negative things more than the positive ones, because if we learn from the negative, we will survive longer. Instances of aggression are more common than are instances of friendliness. Dreamers are more likely to be victims of aggression than aggressors in their dreams. Men are much more likely than women to report dreams involving physical aggression. Women are more likely than men to report emotions in their dream. Sex or sexual behaviors seldom occur as elements of the dream story, but again, could be remembered more because of their, again, our minds, our brains are kind of in tune to that type of thing, right? Apprehension or fear is the most frequently reported dream emotion for both sexes, followed by happiness and confusion. Every time I wake up from a dream that I did remember, look, I'm confused, okay? But then you kind of try to pick it apart and be like, what in the world? What was that about? Okay, nightmares. A vivid and frightening or unpleasant anxiety dream that occurs during REM sleep. The frequency of nightmares is closely correlated with age. So nightmares occur most commonly during the middle and late childhood stages. Then they decrease frequency through adolescence, and then as an adult you really don't have nightmares that much. Although estimates vary, approximately 25% of kids in the 5 to 11 age group report having at least one nightmare per week. So again, it's an age thing. The younger you are, the more nightmares you have. Among adults, nightmares are much more common than generally expected. Approximately 5% to 10% of adults experience nightmares on a weekly basis. That's low. 5 to 10% of adults, weekly basis, nightmares, that's low. Family and twin studies strongly suggest that some people may be genetically predisposed to regular nightmares, that it might be a genetic programming thing. Gender also plays a role in nightmare frequency. Compared to men, women at all ages report more frequent nightmares. Daytime stress, anxiety, emotional difficulties are often associated with nightmares. One of my favorite movies of all time, not old Freddy up here, Friday the 13th, but Little Monsters. Man, I loved that movie when I was younger. What do you really want to know about dreams? If you die or fall off a cliff and you don't wake up before you die in a dream, right? Will you die? No. I've died several times in my dreams. I'm still alive in the real world, everybody. So 1/3 of dreamers recall a dream where they have died. I remember, waking up and be like, oh my gosh, I just died. And guess what? I was alive. Then I had coffee. And then I became more alive. Do animals dream? All mammals experience REM sleep, so we can assume that they do. I mean, you've seen a dog sleep, right? My boxer, when he sleeps, his tail wags, okay? And then his little paws go crazy when he's running around chasing whatever, okay? Yeah, mammals definitely dream. Do blind people see when they dream? No, but other senses are just as vivid as vision during their sleep. Is it possible to control your dreams? Yes, it definitely is. It's called a lucid dream. One in which you become aware that you are dreaming while you are still asleep. About half of all people can recall at least one lucid dream, and some people frequently have lucid dreams. The dreamer can often consciously guide the course of the lucid dream, including backing it up and making it go in a different direction. I vividly remember doing stuff like that, right? It's almost like I have a controller in my hand. When I realize I'm dreaming, I can rewind to the previous scene and do it over again and do it differently. That's kind of how I lucid dream. Can you get better at lucid dreaming? Yeah, you can. You have to kind of build a mechanism into your everyday life. So in reality, you would try possibly you'd count your fingers. So you put your thumb into your pinky, and then your ring finger, and your middle finger, and then your index finger, right? And you would keep on doing this in every day. This would be something that I did whenever I was just chilling and I had time to do. And this would become a skill, right? A procedural thing that I've learned to do now in my everyday life, real life. Where do I practice skills? REM sleep. You dream during REM sleep, right? So eventually it would come to this moment in your dream where you would practice this new skill, which would be this. But you know that the only reason you've actually practiced this skill is that you are trying to lucid dream. So once this starts in your dream, and then you see something awkward happen, right? Maybe your thumb goes through your index finger or something like that. Boom, it clicks in your head, I'm dreaming right now. And then you could possibly control your dream and have a lucid dream. So can you predict the future while you dream? Maybe, because you have over 100,000 dreams in your life. It could happen by chance, but not really, okay? Are dreams in black and white or in color? 80% of dreams contain color. I'd like to know this study before color TV happened. Because imagine if you're a person who's really into TV, right? But TV's just black and white. Maybe you dream in black and white because you want to be in the TV or something like that. So, all right, the significance of dreams. All right, so what makes them so important? Are they fulfilled wishes, right? Are they the safety valve that we get to, unscrew during the night and let all of the weird stuff that we control and repress during the day out in a safe environment while we're sleeping? Maybe. Freud is the guy who really dives into this. So Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis, driven by unconscious conflicts, that's what psychoanalysis is, believed that these repressed urges and wishes could surface in dream imagery. He asked people about their dreams so much. It was the royal road to the unconscious, is what he said. So in his landmark work, The Interpretation of Dreams, written in 1900, Freud wrote, "The dreams are the disguised fulfillments of repressed wishes and provide the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious mind." In fact, he contended that wish fulfillment is the meaning of each and every dream. According to Freud, dreams function as a sort of psychological safety valve for the release of unconscious and unacceptable urges that you can't let out during the normal day. He breaks dreams down to two things. He goes so far into dreams, by the way. I mean, you could read this book if you want, The Interpretation of Dreams. It's very interesting, okay? But he really breaks dreams down in two categories: manifest content and latent content. Manifest content, in Freud's psychoanalytic theory, the elements of a dream that are consciously experienced and remembered by the dreamer. It is the actual dream. It is the plot of the dream, right? It's the movie script. It's who said what, where were we, what setting were we in, all that kind of stuff. That's the manifest content. Then we have the latent content. In Freud's psychoanalytic theory, it's the unconscious wishes, thoughts, urges that are concealed in the manifest content of the dream. It's the underlying meaning of the dream. It's the interpretation of the dream. It's not the plot. It's what the plot means. Okay? So latent content is the underlying meaning of the dream. Manifest content, the actual dream. Latent content, the underlying meaning of the dream. The example that I use for this is when I was 7 years old, I moved, right, from West Virginia to North Carolina. And I knew we were moving for quite some time, right? So I had a reoccurring dream where my grandmother, who I call Mama, she was in her home, and there was and this is the manifest content. There was a hallway, okay, and at the end of the hallway is her room, okay, and in her room is her bed and windows going outside, all that kind of stuff. So in the dream, I'm chasing, this is the manifest content, I'm chasing after her. She's floating backwards without like moving her legs, right, straight backwards down the hallway, and I'm running as fast as I possibly can over to her, and I'm getting to her, and all of a sudden she goes into her room, okay, and I follow. She's not in there. All right, I look out the window, and there's a lot of little green army men waiting to take me away. I had this dream several times, okay? No idea what it meant until I got older, and I realized that the latent content was this. My dad was going to become a police officer here in North Carolina, and we had, he left, he went 6 weeks before us, and then we followed him down here and, moved down here as a family. My mom, my sister, and I followed him down here, and we live here, right? But the latent content was my grandmother, my family, everything I knew, Mama, was going to be, it would disappear, right? And then the Green Army men, who were possibly on the outside, right, trying to take me away, was my dad's job, right? The reason that we would possibly be leaving everything that we knew before. And that was it. That was the interpretation of the dream. I didn't know what it was when I was 7, but it was like a reoccurring nightmare for me back then. Am I bitter about a move from West Virginia to North Carolina? No, I'm not. I think it's the greatest thing that ever happened to our family. I love everybody in West Virginia and everything in West Virginia, but Wilmington, North Carolina has treated us and our family unbelievably. That's my example of manifest content. Man, what a weird thing, right? Grandmother floating backwards, disappearing, Green Army men taking me away. And the latent content, I don't want to leave West Virginia. Everything I know might be taken away from me. And law enforcement, a job, of law enforcement, little green army men, that was what was going to take everything away, including me. So that's my example of manifest and latent content. The activation synthesis model of dreaming, this is an interesting thing. This might be the reason why you have very odd and weird dreams. So we're going to cover two theories of dreaming. This is the activation synthesis model, and then we'll look at the neurocognitive model here in a second. So researchers Hobson and McCarley first proposed a new model of dreaming in 1977. They found that the brain would be activated, okay, spontaneous firing of neurons in the pons. The brain was activated in the brainstem, and it was firing during sleep. Okay, so they come up with this. The theory that the brain activity during sleep produces the dream images. Activation, which are combined by the brain into the dream story, synthesis. So basically they say this happens. The pons fires randomly, and then your cortex, okay, the thing that makes you you, the thing that makes us the top of the food chain, it actually makes sense of that information in however it can. So activation, boom, activated by the pons, and then synthesized by the cortex. And that's quite possibly why a dream story would be so weird. Because it's just randomly putting things together the best it can. Neurocognitive theory of dreaming. It's a model of dreaming that emphasizes the continuity of waking and dreaming cognition. And it states that dreaming is just like thinking under conditions of reduced sensory input and the absence of voluntary control. Dreams aren't activated by the brainstem in the neurocognitive theory of dreaming. Dreams are reflecting our interests, personality, and individual worries. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but a sensory deprivation tank, you can call it a float tank. There's a place in Wilmington that does it. And when you get in one of these tanks, it takes away all of your senses, right? So you're floating in body temperature, salt water, so you're floating. It's completely dark. It's soundproof. Your senses have been taken away. And in these tanks, you're said to be able to kind of go inside of your own mind, and it's almost like a meditation type practice. That's what dreaming is. The world is taken away from you. The environment is taken away from you. And when you take away the distractions of the environment from a human, the cognitive processes become internal, and you create your own universe, your own world, you dream, and it's just like thinking, but without any distraction. It's what your brain can do without distraction. And apparently, that's created an entire